Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Chewbacca. A character from the original Star Wars trilogy now has appeared in the Star Wars Force Awakens along with his pilot, Han Solo. Surprisingly that Chewbacca would appear in the first wave of the new Force Awakens Black Series, as I do, obviously would want Chewbacca in a figure form, but it's surprising that we would have got him so early, as opposed to maybe the likes of an older Luke Skywalker or an older Han Solo. I guess the only logical reason I could come up with is that they don't want to do a full reveal on some of the characters. We've only seen like little snippets of it, whereas Chewbacca doesn't really look like he's changed all that much, other than maybe a few more grays than he had before. Back of the package, a brief read-up. By the way, Chewbacca is number 5 from the Black Series. Read-up says, faithful first mate and co-pilot, Chewbacca has loyally stood by his captain's side through the twisting fortunes of galaxy in turmoil. To check out more from the Force Awakens, you can go to www.starwars.com/The Force Awakens. This also comes to us from the folks over at Disney. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Star Wars Force Awakens Black Series Chewbacca. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. The first thing we'll want to do with Chewbacca is take his 2 pieces of his gun and attach the 2. There's a little hole on the one side, as you can see. Fits very easily, if you don't miss it, fits very easily into just like that. From there, you can take the gun, and it sits in actually either of his hands, depending on which hand you want to have him displayed with. I will say though, the handle is extremely small. You have to kind of get it, you have to get this section around his thumb, and then you have to wedge it inside his fingers, his finger bits, and you can have Chewbacca displayed like that. It's not the easiest to get it in there, but he does hold it. And just take it out for the time being. Chewbacca looks roughly the same as he does in the original trilogy, although you probably will see right away he's got a little more on the grays going on there. His torso, and really, I guess for the most part, his body doesn't seem as full as perhaps he looked in the original trilogy. I guess it affects all of us. You get a little older, your hair starts not as full and voluptuous as it was at one point when you were younger, but you can see that his torso, he's got a little more in the grays, especially in his legs. And it also seems too like his feet and hands are more visible than I do recall. And they're also a little more on the gray side also. He does still have his shoulder ammo belt going on here as well, with a little side pouch. It doesn't do the greatest of jobs of sitting on his shoulder. In fact, I find what I usually end up doing is I wedge it as far underneath his headpiece as I can, just so it doesn't slide down his shoulders. He is a tall figure though, incredibly tall, and I guess when we eventually get ourselves a Black Series Han Solo, he'll be paired quite nicely right next to Chewbacca here. He is also very superposable, which I don't know why Hasbro. It just seems like the smaller scale figures, they're skimping so much on articulation. To have so many different categories of figures, because I think there is like if I'm not mistaken, there is like Black Series smaller figures that have superposability, and then there's deluxe figures that don't. I don't know why you just wouldn't invest to have one line, a 6-inch line for the more adult collectors that maybe want the bigger figures, and the smaller line while still incorporating articulation. I guess their mindset is the younger kids don't really care. They want a Chewbacca. They don't care that it doesn't bend at the elbows, it doesn't bend at the legs, but I don't know. His face, let's bring the camera into his face. Once again, very old. Very old. It's I gotta say though, it's a compliment, and I'm very impressed that with Chewbacca, they could either have CG'd him, because I know that's Lucas's thing. J.J. Abrams a little more for the practical effects. But they could have easily gotten any tall guy to be Chewbacca. Nothing to the guy who plays Chewbacca, but as long as you're tall and you can make noises, you can pretty much be Chewbacca. But no, they brought him back, and I think that says something. That's nice that they wouldn't just replace the guy. When it comes to his articulation, Chewbacca does have a ball joint in the head. It's not a little bit limited because if you can see, even though there is a gap between his head and his torso, the socket, however, sits right above his shoulders. There's not much wiggle room where you can move the head up and down. And of course you can see the belt does want to move out of the way. The belt also does a good job of hiding and kind of filling in the little gap area, which is likely why they made as much of a gap as they did, so the belt could sit right underneath there. The shoulders hinge out as well as rotate all the way around. He has a bend in the elbow, which also rotates. Does he have articulation in the hand? He sure does. This whole section is a separate piece. And with the fur effect, they've layered it in such a way that it hides the joints. And especially in the areas of the hand, you can still move the hand because the fur is attached there as well. That's a nice, clever way to design the figure. He's got multiple sections here. One section can rotate just on a swivel. Then he's got a secondary ball joint swivel here, which this is all rubbery, so it has a little bit of extra play wiggle room there too. And then the legs hinge forward and back, swivel at the thigh, bend at the knee, which also rotates. And finally he has that swivel hinge at the foot as well. From the three figures that we've looked at, my favorite still would be Kylo Ren. Finn's pretty cool too. Chewbacca I like, but I mean, you know, I've never been super crazy for Chewbacca figures. I don't know what it is. I like him in the movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a big Chewbacca fan in the movie, but I don't know, just when it comes to figure form, he's one of the last figures, no offense to Chewbacca, he's one of the last figures I usually gravitate towards. The Black Series figure, great job on Chewbacca. Just wondering why we get him so early in when we could have gotten other figures. Again, unless they want to keep reveals for the way characters look until closer to the movie or when the movie has already come out. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Star Wars The Black Series from The Force Awakens. We're having a look today at Senior Citizen Chewbacca. It's okay, it's okay, Chewie. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. More Force Awakens stuff also heading your way. Thanks for watching. See you next time.